Good evening, everyone. My name is Thoa Kim Nguyen, and thank you for joining me this evening as I update our constituents and supporters on the inner workings of UNAVSA. Since 2016, the Executive Board and I have had the pleasure of working with many individuals that volunteer their time and talent, building upon existing projects and creating new initiatives that further contribute to the greater Vietnamese community. This year, UNAVSA celebrates our 15th year in operations, and I'm excited to share all the progress since the inception of our organization. In the past presidential addresses, I've mentioned the new internal restructuring of UNAVSA, starting with our vision statement. At the start of eBoard's term during our first retreat, former President Dan Nguyen asked, in a perfect world, if UNAVSA were to achieve everything the community needed, what would that look like? Collectively, our board came up with this statement: a thriving nonprofit organization that has achieved inclusiveness and equality in the greater Vietnamese community through resources, education, social awareness, and embracing diversity. This vision, in conjunction with our main operating pillar of education, is not only the guiding light to all new projects, but a requirement for efficiency and, more importantly, sustainability. We also felt the vision statement mirrored VSA's positive environments. I'm confident this sentiment is also embraced in UVSAs, IVSAs, and UNAVSA as a whole. Since our humble beginnings back in 2004, UNAVSA has shown incredible growth through the expansion of our cabinets. We now have over 150 volunteers contributing either on eBoard, core, or a part of the 11 cabinets that operate year-round and embody our mission: to empower the next generation of Vietnamese leaders with a passion for service, propensity for leadership, and self-awareness with the intent of advocating for progress in the North American Vietnamese community. Our current 11 cabinets are alumni relations led by Timmy Va, civic engagement led by David Tran, CPP audit led by Sarah Vung, CPP campaign led by Dan Quoc, CPP selection led by Kim Chung and Tiffany Tran, conference led by Christopher Hugh and his associates, Chris Pham and Jimmy Mai, information technology led by Yimni Tran, marketing and public relations led by Alyssa Corso and Tasha Nim, seminar led by April Wing and Phuc Phan, sponsorship and development led by Lucy Tran and Trina Buiqui, and last but not least, VSA Academy led by Christina Ong. I'd like to dive into the cabinet updates, first starting with alumni relations. This team works directly with our external vice president, Jenny Nguyen, to not only establish and maintain alumni relationships with the organization, but also develop projects and programming geared towards the alumni network. The goal is to have alumni engage and provide avenues for contribution beyond monetary value. The team has redefined the alumni definition as any former officially recognized member who has served under UNAVSA for a minimum of 1 year as cabinet staff, conference staff, cabinet director, conference director, core member, or executive board member. The current planned projects are the Alumni Directory, where constituents get to connect with alumni across the continent to receive support and resources, Alumni Spotlight, where members see, hear, and read then and now stories of our successful leaders, the revival of the Alumni Mentorship Program, where members can link up as mentor and mentee to actively build leadership skills and further professional careers. Alumni Conference Programming, a chance for alums to reconnect at the annual leadership conference and experience workshops for alums. And overall, alumni benefits. To make it official, alums have the option of membership dues tied to different tiers, accommodating the many levels of interest and involvement. Official announcements with tier and definitions have been made into our most recent February newsletter and will be posted shortly on social media and updated on the website. Moving on, UNAVSA recently enacted the Civic Engagement Cabinet to promote social awareness through education with the hopes that Southeast Asian youth engage with legislative changes. This cabinet also works directly with our external vice president. Their anticipated projects are updating members with current events that impact minorities, voter registration resources and impact, because legislative change starts with individuals voicing change through voting. The 2020 project in collaboration with the UNAVSA network, with the goal of having 100,000 Asian Americans registered by the 2020 presidential election, in hopes of producing more representation on all levels of government. Spotlighting civic leaders and activists so members are inspired by individuals who possess courage to fight for civil rights affecting minorities and our community's welfare. U.S. and Canadian Government 101 to educate constituents on basic government operations within the United States and Canada. And lastly, gap conversations, hoping members have discussions on important matters that ensure empathy, compassion, and understanding for the positive social change. Moving forward, we have the Collective Philanthropy Project, CPP, overseen by Internal Vice President Jen Nay. CPP started with the intention of uniting the Vietnamese youth across North America to give back to the greater Vietnamese community. Throughout the years, CPP has also evolved. What was once a leg of conference planning now is 3 fully operating cabinets with distinct roles. First, starting with CPP Audit, where they're all in charge of tracking the progress of a beneficiary's project and managing the funds so everything is fair, transparent, and of quality. Audit currently is finishing up the audit pertaining to the previous beneficiary, Kids Without Borders, and starting the audit process with the last beneficiary, Catalyst Foundation. Next cabinet is CPP Campaign. Over 14 years, CPP has been able to raise funds to help jumpstart multiple projects that directly affect Vietnamese communities here in North America and overseas in the country of Vietnam. The campaign team is in charge of formulating a strategy plan to help raise awareness and funds for the current beneficiary, which is the Pacific Links Foundation. Their mission is to prevent human trafficking by empowering the most vulnerable population in Vietnam, the youth. Their approach is to break the cycle of human trafficking with preventative programs while offering survivors protection programs concentrated around reintegration. CPP's current campaign, One Step Away, is a fitness challenge designed around the central idea that trafficking survivors can spend days running from their traffickers in the countryside, often without shoes. This campaign aims to raise awareness and funds for this cause. Details can be found in our most recent newsletter and across social media platforms. Moving on to the CPP selection, a team in charge of seeking and filtering potential beneficiaries to make sure each potential organization meets standards and aligns with UNAVSA's mission and vision. Once filtered and confirmed, the council regional representatives and the executive board vote for the top 3 finalists to present at conference, where attendees vote in the next CPP beneficiary. Currently, selection is taking applications for the 2018-2019 beneficiary. The application link with all the necessary information is also in our most recent newsletter and on social media. As mentioned before, this is UNAVSA's 15th year in operation, and also the 15th year anniversary of another cornerstone project, our annual leadership conference. This summer, the anticipated event will be held in the Electric City of Atlanta, Georgia, from August 2nd to August 5th at the Sheraton Atlanta Hotel. Conference directors have chosen the theme, Stand Up and Stand Out, encouraging attendees to confidently propel ideas into meaningful and impactful actions. It's not enough to just raise voices when our community is directly affected by changes, but to be engaged when injustice is happening everywhere and to different marginalized groups. Racism, inequality, sexism, and discrimination still plague our society. We not only want to analyze and discuss issues in depth, but go beyond the conversation to take personal accountability in everyday life to eliminate these negative practices and ideals. Conference directors believe now more than ever is the time to stand up and make our voices heard. An official announcement with details will be scheduled for Friday, so be on the lookout for that. UNAVSA as an organization operates in a very virtual world, as our community spans over North America. Our Information Technology Cabinet is the very backbone of the organization, making sure all technology platforms are secured and running smoothly. This year's team is working tirelessly to maintain the technological structures that hold UNAVSA together. We'll also see a newly updated website this month and consolidation of our subdomains. Moving on, the Marketing and Public Relations Cabinet has been working around the clock to keep our members informed of the monthly happenings from all the other cabinets, and has been working closely with each of those cabinets to make sure external materials are not only of brand standards, but also of quality. Moving on, Seminar Cabinet is a newly formed cabinet and working to establish professional training in the form of a one-day seminar made available to all participating regions. UNAVSA recognizes that regions are growing and providing programming similar to UNAVSA's annual leadership conference in a more intimate and affordable range, which not only challenges our organization to provide extensive programming at conference, but what do we do each year to help our regions with their mission and ours? Professional training offered by UNAVSA would not only free up regional programming to touch on more topics and ideas, but also elevate our partnership and in return make a bigger impact directly towards VSAs. Currently, Seminar Cabinet will be conducting pilot projects within a few regions to hone the program and provide metrics. Next, sponsorship and development has evolved over the years. What was once started as a branch for just conference has now grown into a cabinet that searches and maintains relationships with sponsors for all UNAVSA operations. It's not easy conducting projects as a nonprofit, and our sponsorship directors are working hard to secure grants and funding. Both seminar and sponsorship is managed by Treasurer Folkvan. Last cabinet, but certainly not least, is VSA Academy, also a newly formed cabinet this year. This team manages all matters pertaining to the relaunching of our resource hub. Like Seminar, we want to further impact VSAs directly, making our resource hub a one-stop shop for personal and professional needs. The cabinet has been conducting surveys and focus groups to see what materials would be most meaningful and impactful for VSAs. Surveys conducted in December of 2017 showed that 72% of participants were female, 37% were male, 92% of participants spanned from the ages of 18 to 25, and the top topics of interest were cultural awareness, personal development, and professional development. Data taken from the survey will be released to the general public as more progress and developments are made within the cabinet. All 11 cabinets are excited to complete these projects and have been working around the clock to make these ideas tangible. A large thank you to cabinet directors and their staff for all the hard work thus far. You guys are awesome. In other important news, UNAVSA has relaunched our blog. This project is spearheaded by Editor-in-Chief Olivia Jacquin, with the purpose of showcasing the many faces that make up our community through creative mediums like interviews, podcasts, personal narratives, videos, and so forth. We've released one blog so far and have one in store for tomorrow. So please stay tuned to social media for further particular announcements to that post. If you're interested in contributing or have inquiries, please reach out to our wonderful editor and email her at blog@unavsa.org. Some of the biggest internal updates were made within the last year and a half as CORE voted new constitutional changes to practices and operations. One of the main highlights is officially recognizing our harassment policy in the Constitution. UNAVSA has a no-tolerance policy pertaining to harassment, both mental and physical. UNAVSA wants our space to be open, collaborative, and more importantly, safe for all members to operate in. Any staff member found in violation or want to report an infraction can do so, and a proper due process is in place to conduct an internal investigation and produce a solution to the matter. The Constitution has also been updated with new additional cabinets and their roles and responsibilities, as well as the election process to reflect current practices, like the Official Elections Committee overseeing the process to ensure that it's fair and transparent. We also have the annual report in the works and set to publish in March with the summary of finances and the impact of UNAVSA's projects. A separate comprehensive financial report will also be released this year. The Constitution will be made available once the website is updated and finished. Lastly, in light of the turbulent social and political climate, I understand it is very hard to keep focus on the important issues, as these things tend to multiply exponentially each day and differ from each individual. UNAVSA will always stand with marginalized groups and criticize and go against those that threaten the foundation of our values. I hope that the greater community recognizes those efforts as we enter this new year. I've always sat with the notion that one shouldn't expect and wait for the new year to bring something positive, but more so, what can you do as an individual to contribute to the new year? We live in a unique time where there are so many advances in technology, business, and human rights, yet racism, discrimination, and biases stand in the way and continuously find ways to stay present in society. I hope we all do better as individuals and as a collective unit to shift change in a positive direction. I'd like to take the time to give a heartfelt thank you to all the supporters and staff of UNAVSA. It's your love that propels others like myself to continuously dedicate time and effort in making sure the community is safe, thriving, and successful. UNAVSA would not be here without you. On behalf of UNAVSA, thank you again for tuning in, and I hope you all have a great evening. Remember, it starts with you. Have a good night.